Good afternoon. How are you doing? My name is Jennifer Sills Almeida. Today I am going to go over how to use SPSS, how we take data and input it into SPSS and work with variables. The first step would be over here. As you can see, we have some data that has been cleaned up. We have, as you can see, like numbers, any data that goes into SPSS has to be cleaned up. So as you can see, we have SES status, which is social economic status, low, medium, high. I went ahead and adjusted that to be a numerical value for ELL status, for SPED status, and also for intervention. So as you can see, they have numbers associated with it. Now, when you're trying to save it, what you would do, first of all, you have to save the data in order to get into SPSS. So you would hit Save As. And then over here, that's when you would save it because it would have to be in the format CSV. Okay, save. So that is done. I already have it, the data here, so I'll put replace. It's the same data, just trying to show you how to do the CSV. And then what you're going to need to do and stuff is go into the SPSS. So when we go to the SPSS, this is what you do. You put SPSS, found the software is right here. And it should be pulling up IBM SPSS statistics. Now, what we're going to work with and stuff is the data. So the data shows up right here so that I had saved. So I am going to hit open so we can see it. Okay. So when we have data here, we went ahead and moved the data that we had from that raw data into the SPSS system. Now for the SES status right here, what we're going to have to do, social economic status, is we are going to go ahead and have to rename it into low, medium, high, yes and no, and also for intervention, yes and no. So the way we do that and stuff would be to go ahead and go into variable view first, and we have to assign it values. So let's start with the SES status. So SES status for the values, you see it says none. So what we're going to need to do is click in here and go ahead and add a value. Well, if you see this plus dot, then it actually shows you where you can actually add on a value. So for the value and stuff that we have, the first one, we are going to have the value as, we can just start with 1. I will have to look in a code book. I have a code book where I had put the information, which numbers stand for which label. So this one I had named as low. So the socioeconomic status was low for number 1 value, and then you hit OK. Now we also have to add another one, which would be for 2, and that would be medium. And then for the next one, for 3, we would have that as high. So this is what this means because these are the variables and it kind of tells you how they're labeled. Okay. So now we have a labeling system for that for the data view. So we know on the SES system which ones is low, medium, high. Now for the ELL, so we'll so that was for the SES. How we, went ahead and situated that. Now for ELL, we had that as yes and no. So on this one, how we are labeling it, so we had as a 0 was a no label. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in. And then 1 was a yes, and hit OK. So this label was for the ELL status, meaning is it an ELL student that we're looking at? So if we go from variable to data view, so over here you see a lot of them and stuff, whether or not it's an ELL student. Look at this column. It's 1, 0s. So we know now that 1 stands for yes, they're an ELL student, 0 stands for no. So the next one would be the SPED status. So go into here, the SPED status, and you would do the same thing. So we're going to go ahead and label it, hit the plus sign. So for the value, 0 would be no. That means that they're not a SPED student. And then we want to add another one, and 1 will be yes. So we go over here and hit yes. And then you would hit OK. So now we have social economic status, SES, ELL. So SES, ELL, are they an ELL student? And SPED, are they a SPED student? We also, on the data with intervention, that is also assigned a number as well. So for intervention, what we're going to look at is the values. So for the intervention, and you'll see when I go back to the data view, they were labeled as 1 or 2. So on the value, I'm sorry, for 0, 1. So 0 would be a no. And then for the next one, for 1 was labeled as yes. So these categorizes it so you kind of understand what the numbers in the spreadsheet for the data view. So when we pull up the data, it makes sense. So the data view over here, we're looking at intervention. So as you can see, so we have like 1s here, okay? And anything that is situated there will be aligned. Okay, so the next thing and stuff that we need to do with that is look at the variable view. So when we go to variable views to explain it, now when we have certain things that have meaningful order, like the social economic status, we start at low, we go from low to high. That is in a particular order. So order for ordinal, so this should be changed to ordinal, right? And for that and stuff, the reason why is that we do have a specific order. For ELL status, there's not a specific order for yes or no. It's just yes or no, right? It's not a ranking like the SES status was a ranking, low, medium, high. Now for these scales and stuff, anything that for a scale, it's a continuous number. So when we are looking at attendance, reading scores, and math scores, it is scaled. So that would be correct in those. And then the nominal and stuff is a way to label it. So the nominal is based on group or category. So what we have here and stuff is those nominals, measurement fields and stuff there. Roll, all of it's going to be inputted, and over here it's just alignment, shows how if it's left or right aligned. That's how it shows up in the data view. So this would be right aligned, right? This is centered. So just wanted to explain that. There's no values over here. The values, it shows that the ones that did have a number assigned to it with meaning had that. And the reason why these two are nominals instead of ordinal is that this one has a particular order. It makes sense. Whereas the other one is just a listing of just labeling it. 0 is no, 1 is yes. The width and the decimals represents how many decimal points. So you see the rest has 0, but then for the attendance, it has 13 decimals. So those places you can see how it's long. So it will have 13 spaces. So that is what that's for over there. And then for the student ID, we see that the type is string type, and we go in and we see that it is a nominal measure. School ID is a nominal measure. Grade level, nominal. Academics, it's nominal. SES status. Social economic status, remember that's ordinal because we're actually going and ranking it. Anything that's ranking in an order, in a specific order for a specific meaning would be ordinal. ELL status would be nominal. SPED status would be nominal. Again, and stuff, they're labeled, but they don't have a particular order that they need to be in. Attendance, rate, reading score, and math score are considered scaled because scaled are continuous numbers, which they are. The discipline, incidence and stuff is nominal, intervention, nominal, and tutoring hours, nominal, and parent engagement, nominal. So this kind of gives you an idea of how this relates. So these are all the variables, and then this is the data that is putting that where it lists all those variables on top. So if this makes sense for you, it should be self-explanatory, but again, all this SES, ELL, SPED status has numbers on it, and it's aligned based on what we just assigned, SES, ELL, SPED status, and also intervention. So with that, that is how that works. Now, when we're trying to analyze data, what we want to do is look at descriptive statistics, frequencies, right? So let's look at the items that we were looking at. So we are looking at SES, ELL, SPED. So we put that into variables. We're going to evaluate that. But also we were looking at intervention. So how does this affect? We're going to see the frequencies for it. Intervention. Now you hit OK. And what we're going to have is we're going to have the statistics here. Now it's going to show up a frequency table, as you can see here. We did pretty good because there was, in regards to the values, this is to check and stuff if you have missing values or if everything flows. As you can see, we have numbers in all this. So when we're looking at the social economic status, we can see the frequency, we can see how many people were at low, at medium, at high social economic status, and then that has the total here, the percentage here. So obviously all these calculate to 100, valid, and then cumulative percent. So, and then on the ELL status over here, you can look at the same thing. So when we look at ELL status, we're looking at are they ELL students? So no would be, the frequency would be at 3,031. So that means 3,000 of them were not ELL students. Yes, 763 were ELL students. Then it has a total. So it has a total students there. As you can see, it is pretty clear on there's no missing gaps. It's explanatory. There's no outliners that are missing, nothing that is jumping out at us. Now, the next one would be the SPED status. So if we look here and stuff at the SPED status, this SPED status would allow us to see which students were in SPED. So for no, you would see 3247. So 3,247 of the students were not in SPED. Yes, 540 students were in SPED. And for the total students that we had in SPED were 3,999. Now let's look at the intervention. So for the intervention that we have here, for the students that were in intervention, yes and no. Again, remember we had categorized those numerically as 0 as no and 1 as yes. So we have 2,680 students that were not in intervention. We had 1,117 students that were in intervention, and the total is 3,999. So now if we want to save this, what we're going to do is we're going to hit save here, and we can name it. So let's name it, we can put output. Let's go ahead and let's name it output 1 and then underscore K to 12 performance. And then we always want to put the date and stuff. So let's go ahead and put February 1st, 26. So we have that. Then you hit save. So now you're about to make sure, but you need to also make sure, one more thing, that it shows SPV. Okay, it shows it's saved as SPV, and then you hit save. So that is how you handle the analytics for that output. Same thing if you wanted to do descriptive analytics for descriptive, you could look at things that had those nominal values: attendance, reading score, math score. Put that in there. You hit OK. So the effect of attendance and reading, writing. Let's see if it pulls up here. Yes, it's over here. So as you can see, some of that information, I'm going to close out this window. Great. So there's different ways that you could rank the data, as you can see. And I hope this was, informational, helpful. And this is the data. When you pull data, it goes into data view, variable views. And it was a pleasure speaking with you. And I hope you have a great, great, great day. Thank you so much.